update to the Carrie Fisher death, which happened last year in December. Well, yeah, she died, and she was Princess Leia, Star Wars for so many years, such an icon. We didn't know for a long time what had happened.
Carrie Fisher brought Princess Leia to life and became a beloved icon for generations of Star Wars fans worldwide. But December 27, 2016, the galaxy lost its princess when she died at age 60 from cardiac arrest. For years, her daughter, Billie Lourd, kept silent about her mother's final wish, a request so personal and profound that it reveals the true heart of the woman behind the legendary character. What Carrie asked for in her last days will surprise you and show why she remained extraordinary until the very end. Carrie Frances Fisher was born on October 21, 1956, into Hollywood royalty. Her mother, Debbie Reynolds, was America's sweetheart, starring in classics like Singin' in the Rain, while her father, Eddie Fisher, was a popular singer and entertainer. Growing up in Beverly Hills, Carrie was surrounded by the glitz and glamour of Tinseltown, but she also witnessed the darker side of fame from an early age. The Fisher household was anything but stable. When Carrie was just 2 years old, her father left Debbie for Elizabeth Taylor, creating one of Hollywood's most scandalous love triangles. The public betrayal devastated Debbie and left young Carrie with deep-seated trust issues and a complicated relationship with her father. The media circus surrounding the divorce gave Carrie an early education in how cruel the spotlight could be. Despite the turmoil at home, Carrie showed early signs of her mother's talent and charisma. She attended Beverly Hills High School, where she was known for her sharp wit and rebellious nature. Teachers remember her as brilliant but difficult, often challenging authority with her cutting observations about the world around her. Her intelligence was undeniable, but she struggled with feeling like she lived in her mother's shadow. At age 17, Carrie made her Broadway debut alongside her mother in the 1973 revival of Irene. The experience was both thrilling and terrifying. She loved performing, but hated the constant comparisons to Debbie. Critics praised her natural stage presence, but Carrie felt like she was playing a role she hadn't chosen. The pressure to live up to her mother's legacy weighed heavily on her young shoulders. By her late teens, Carrie was already experimenting with drugs and alcohol, seeking escape from the pressures of her famous family. She later admitted that she started using substances to cope with the anxiety and depression that would plague her throughout her life. Little did anyone know that these early struggles would shape her into the brutally honest advocate she would become. In 1977, at age 19, Carrie Fisher auditioned for a small science fiction film that few people expected to succeed. George Lucas was looking for a strong female lead for his space opera, and Carrie's audition tape showed exactly what he was searching for. Her reading of Princess Leia's lines revealed a perfect blend of royal authority and rebellious spirit that would define the character for generations. The filming of the original Star Wars was grueling and often chaotic. Shot primarily in Tunisia and at Elstree Studios in England, the production faced numerous challenges, including malfunctioning props, uncomfortable costumes, and a director who was convinced his movie would flop. Carrie found herself the only woman among the main cast, working alongside Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford in what would become the most famous trio in cinema history. During production, Carrie began a passionate affair with Harrison Ford, who was married at the time. The relationship was kept secret from the cast and crew, adding an extra layer of tension to their on-screen chemistry. Years later, Carrie would reveal details of their relationship in her memoir, describing Ford as her first real love and the source of both joy and heartbreak during the filming. When Star Wars premiered on May 25, 1977, it became an immediate cultural phenomenon. Carrie's portrayal of Princess Leia shattered the damsel in distress stereotype, creating a new template for strong female characters in action films. Her iconic hairstyle, memorable quotes, and fearless attitude made her an instant role model for young girls around the world. The success of Star Wars catapulted Carrie into international stardom, but it also trapped her in a role that would define her for the rest of her life. She struggled with being typecast and often felt reduced to her famous character. The pressure of sudden fame, combined with her ongoing personal struggles, led to increased substance abuse and erratic behavior that worried her friends and family. The success of Star Wars brought Carrie Fisher incredible fame, but it also intensified her personal struggles with mental health and substance abuse. Throughout the late 1970s and early 1980s, she battled severe depression and bipolar disorder, conditions that were poorly understood and heavily stigmatized at the time. She self-medicated with cocaine, alcohol, and prescription drugs, creating a dangerous cycle of addiction. In 1983, Carrie married singer-songwriter Paul Simon in a highly publicised ceremony. Their relationship was passionate but tumultuous, marked by his jealousy of her fame and her struggles with substance abuse. The marriage lasted less than a year, though they continued an on-and-off relationship for several more years. Their breakup was messy and public, adding to Carrie's reputation as Hollywood's wild child. During this period, Carrie began writing as a way to process her experiences and emotions. Her sharp wit and brutal honesty about her struggles resonated with readers who were used to sanitized celebrity memoirs. She discovered that writing gave her a sense of control and purpose that acting sometimes lacked. Her early writings revealed a woman grappling with fame, family expectations, and personal demons. The filming of The Empire Strikes Back in 1980 and Return of the Jedi in 1983 were difficult experiences for Carrie. She was struggling with her mental health and addiction, often arriving on set unprepared or unable to perform. The infamous gold bikini scene in Return of the Jedi became a source of both fame and frustration for her, as she felt it reduced her character to a sex object. By the mid-1980s, Carrie's substance abuse had reached a crisis point. She was frequently hospitalized and her career was suffering. Friends and family staged interventions, but Carrie wasn't ready to get sober. She later described this period as the darkest time of her life, when she felt trapped by her addictions and unable to escape the cycle of self-destruction. In 1985, Carrie Fisher's life hit rock bottom when she overdosed on a combination of cocaine and prescription drugs. The incident was kept quiet by her family and management, but it served as a wake-up call that she couldn't ignore. She was rushed to the hospital and nearly died, an experience that finally motivated her to seek serious help for her addictions and mental health issues. Carrie entered rehab for the first time in 1985, beginning a long journey towards sobriety and self-acceptance. The process was difficult and involved multiple relapses, but she gradually began to understand the connection between her mental health issues and her substance abuse. She was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and began taking medication to manage her condition. During her recovery, Carrie channeled her experiences into her writing. Her 1987 novel, Postcards from the Edge, was a semi-autobiographical account of her struggles with addiction and her relationship with her mother. The book was brutally honest about the realities of substance abuse and mental illness, breaking new ground in celebrity memoirs. It became a bestseller and was later adapted into a successful film starring Meryl Streep. The success of Postcards from the Edge established Carrie as a serious writer and gave her a new sense of purpose. She began working as a script doctor in Hollywood, using her wit and insight to improve dialogue and character development in major films. Her work was often uncredited, but she became one of the most sought-after script doctors in the industry. In 1991, Carrie met talent agent Billie Lourd, and their relationship marked a turning point in her personal life. Unlike her previous relationships, this one was stable and supportive. Brian understood her struggles and helped her maintain her sobriety. Their relationship gave Carrie hope that she could have a normal, healthy partnership despite her past difficulties. On July 17, 1992, Carrie Fisher gave birth to her daughter, Billie Lourd, named after Carrie's paternal grandmother. Motherhood transformed Carrie in ways she never expected. The fierce love she felt for her daughter gave her a new reason to stay sober and healthy. She was determined to be a better parent than she had experienced in her own chaotic childhood. Carrie's relationship with Billie Lourd was complicated by his gradual realization that he was gay. Their romantic relationship ended when Billie was 2 years old, but they maintained a close friendship and co-parenting relationship. Carrie later praised Brian for his honesty and their ability to put Billie's needs first. Their mature handling of their breakup became a model for other divorced Hollywood couples. As a single mother, Carrie threw herself into raising Billie with the same intensity she had once brought to her addictions. She was determined to provide her daughter with the stability and unconditional love that had been missing from her own childhood. Billie became her greatest source of joy and her strongest motivation to stay healthy. During the 1990s, Carrie continued her work as a script doctor while also writing books and performing her one-woman show, Wishful Drinking. The show was a frank, humorous look at her life experiences, including her struggles with mental illness, addiction, and fame. Audiences loved her brutal honesty and self-deprecating humor. The show was later adapted into a book and HBO special. Carrie was also a devoted daughter to Debbie Reynolds, despite their complicated relationship. As Debbie aged, Carrie became her primary caregiver and closest confidant. Their relationship evolved from one of competition and resentment to deep mutual respect and love. Carrie often joked that they were like an old married couple. bickering but ultimately devoted to each other. In 2012, Disney acquired Lucasfilm for $4.05 billion, and plans were announced for a new Star Wars trilogy. Carrie Fisher, now 56, was approached about reprising her role as Princess Leia. Initially hesitant about returning to the franchise that had defined her career, she eventually agreed to participate, partly because she wanted to show older women that they could still be action heroes. The decision to return to Star Wars was complicated for Carrie. She had spent decades trying to establish herself as more than just Princess Leia, but she also recognized the cultural importance of the character. She negotiated for creative input and insisted that Leia be portrayed as a strong, complex leader rather than a nostalgic cameo. Her return was met with enthusiasm from fans who had grown up with the original trilogy. Preparing for The Force Awakens required Carrie to get in shape and learn new dialogue and action sequences. At 57, she was determined to prove that she could still handle the physical demands of the role. She worked with trainers and nutritionists, approaching the challenge with the same determination she had once brought to her recovery from addiction. The filming of The Force Awakens in 2014 was a joyful experience for Carrie. She reunited with Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford, and their chemistry was as strong as ever. Director J.J. Abrams praised her professionalism and the wisdom she brought to the role. Her scenes with Harrison Ford were particularly poignant, as they drew on their real-life history together. During production, Carrie also served as an unofficial mentor to the younger cast members, including Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, and Adam Driver. She shared her experiences of dealing with fame and the pressures of being in a Star Wars film. Her advice was invaluable to the new generation of stars who were about to experience the same phenomenon she had lived through decades earlier. While Carrie Fisher was returning to her most famous role, her daughter Billie Lourd was establishing herself as an actress in her own right. In 2015, Billie landed a starring role in the horror comedy series Scream Queens, created by Ryan Murphy. Carrie was immensely proud of her daughter's success and thrilled that Billie was carving out her own path in the entertainment industry. The relationship between Carrie and Billie was extraordinarily close. They were more like best friends than mother and daughter, sharing everything from career advice to personal struggles. Carrie had been determined to break the cycle of complicated mother-daughter relationships. Billie often accompanied her mother to events and premieres, and their red carpet appearances together were always highlights. Carrie would beam with pride when talking about her daughter's accomplishments, and Billie clearly adored her mother's irreverent sense of humour and fierce independence. Their bond was evident to everyone who saw them together. During the filming of The Last Jedi in 2016, Carrie brought Billie to visit the set. The experience was special for both of them. Carrie got to share her most famous role with her daughter, and Billie got to see her mother in her element. Director Rian Johnson later said that watching Carrie and Billie together was one of his favourite memories from the production. As Carrie's health began to decline in 2016, Billie became increasingly concerned about her mother's well-being. Carrie had been struggling with various health issues, including sleep apnea and heart problems. Billie encouraged her mother to see doctors and take better care of herself, but Carrie was often stubborn about medical advice. Their roles were beginning to reverse, with Billie becoming the caretaker. On December 23, 2016, Carrie Fisher was returning to Los Angeles from London, where she had been promoting her latest memoir, The Princess Diarist. The book contained revelations about her affair with Harrison Ford during the filming of the original Star Wars, and the publicity tour had been exhausting. Fellow passengers on the flight later reported that Carrie seemed tired, but was in good spirits during the journey. 15 minutes before the plane was scheduled to land at LAX, Carrie suffered a massive heart attack. Fellow passengers, including a doctor and several nurses, performed CPR while the plane made an emergency landing. Carrie was rushed to UCLA Medical Center, where she was placed on life support. The news of her hospitalization sent shockwaves through Hollywood and the Star Wars fan community. Billie Lourd rushed to the hospital to be with her mother, along with other family members, including Debbie Reynolds. For 4 days, they maintained a vigil at Carrie's bedside, hoping for any sign of improvement. Doctors explained that Carrie had suffered significant brain damage due to lack of oxygen during the cardiac arrest, but the family clung to hope. During those final days, Billie spent hours talking to her unconscious mother, sharing memories and expressing her love. She later revealed that she played Carrie's favourite music and read from her books, hoping that her mother could somehow hear her. The experience was heartbreaking for Billie, who wasn't ready to lose her best friend and closest confidant. On December 27, 2016, at 8:55 a.m., Carrie Fisher died at UCLA Medical Center. She was 60 years old. The cause of death was officially ruled as cardiac arrest, but the autopsy later revealed that she had cocaine, heroin, and other drugs in her system. The news of her death devastated fans around the world and left her family shattered by grief. Just one day after Carrie Fisher's death, another tragedy struck the family. On December 28, 2016, Debbie Reynolds suffered a stroke while making funeral arrangements for her daughter. She was rushed to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, where she died that evening at age 84. The back-to-back deaths of mother and daughter shocked the entertainment world and left Billie Lourd orphaned at just 24 years old. The loss of both her mother and grandmother within 24 hours was devastating for Billie. She had been incredibly close to both women, and their deaths left her feeling completely alone, despite the support of other family members and friends. The media attention surrounding the deaths was intense, making it difficult for Billie to grieve privately. Debbie Reynolds' last words were reportedly, "I want to be with Carrie," spoken to her son Todd Fisher. The statement suggested that the legendary actress died of a broken heart, unable to cope with the loss of her daughter. The romantic notion of the two women being reunited in death provided some comfort to fans and family members, but it didn't ease Billie's profound grief. The funeral arrangements were complicated by the double loss and the intense media attention. Billie had to make decisions about memorial services while dealing with her own grief and the demands of being the family's public face. She handled the situation with remarkable grace and maturity, showing strength that would have made both her mother and grandmother proud. During this difficult time, Billie began going through her mother's personal effects and discovered something that would change her understanding of Carrie's final months. Hidden among her mother's papers was a letter that Carrie had written but never sent, containing her final wish, a request that revealed the depth of her love for her daughter and her hopes for Billie's future. In 2023, nearly 7 years after her mother's death, Billie Lourd finally felt ready to share the contents of Carrie Fisher's final letter. Speaking in an emotional interview, Billie revealed that her mother's last wish wasn't about her career, her legacy, or her fame. It was about her daughter's happiness and freedom from the burdens of their family's complicated history. According to Billie, Carrie's final letter contained a heartfelt plea for her daughter to live authentically and not feel obligated to carry on the family's entertainment legacy. Carrie wrote that she wanted Billie to choose her own path, whether that was in show business or something completely different. She didn't want her daughter to feel trapped by expectations or family traditions the way she had felt throughout her own life. The letter also contained Carrie's wishes for how she wanted to be remembered. Rather than focusing on her struggles with addiction and mental illness, she wanted people to remember her humor, her honesty, and her love for her daughter. She wrote that her greatest achievement wasn't Princess Leia or her books. It was raising Billie to be a strong, independent woman who could make her own choices. Perhaps most touchingly, Carrie's final wish was for Billie to find love and happiness without the complications that had marked her own relationships. She wanted her daughter to trust in love and not let fear of abandonment or betrayal prevent her from forming deep connections. Carrie acknowledged that her own romantic history had been troubled, but she didn't want that to influence Billie's approach to relationships. The letter concluded with Carrie's expression of absolute faith in her daughter's strength and capabilities. She wrote that she wasn't worried about Billie's future because she knew her daughter had the intelligence, talent, and character to succeed at whatever she chose to do. It was a mother's ultimate vote of confidence in her child's potential. Thanks for watching. Click here to check another video and make sure to subscribe to our channel.